Welcome to EAC Speaks, the podcast where we dive deep into the movement to end the HIV epidemic right here in the heart of the South, Arkansas. I'm your host, Eddie Wiley, and together we're going to explore the stories, insights, and passion that fuels engaging Arkansas community's mission. Join us on this journey as we unite voices and take meaningful steps toward a world free of HIV stigma. Now, get ready for a conversation that matters. This is EAC Speaks. Hello out there, and welcome back to EAC Speaks, where we speak truth, hold space, and celebrate resilience in all its forms. I'm Eddie Wiley, and today's episode comes to you from Atlanta, Georgia, home of soul food, trap music, civil rights, and this month, the 2025 Biomedical HIV Prevention Summit, hosted by NMAC. This year, we gathered under a complex sky. The summit is happening at a time when the infrastructure meant to hold us up, our programs, our funding, our workforce is being tested. Across the country, we're feeling the impacts of cuts in HIV prevention funding, and the weight is real. Teams are shrinking, projects are paused, and morale is low in too many spaces. And the question echoes, how do we keep going when the resources to keep going are being stripped away? But still, we gather, not just to talk science, not just to check boxes, but to reconnect, to reclaim our purpose, to remember those we've lost, and to remind each other why we started this work in the first place. Now, in this episode, we'll bring you 6 intimate video interviews with people on the front lines of biomedical HIV treatment, prevention, and research. From program leads to peer navigators, youth advocates to researchers. Each one brings their own unique perspective on where we are, where we must go. And you'll hear about their challenges, yes, but also about the creativity, the strategy, the hope, and the sheer heart it takes to show up right now. Because here's the truth. We need each other more than ever. When the systems don't show up for us, we have to show up for each other. These summits, this one in particular, aren't just about new data or breakthrough medications. They're about reminding ourselves that we're not alone, that there's still joy, there's still brilliance, and there's vision in this work, that there's still a community fighting for the future that we deserve. So in between sessions, the panels, the networking, and the hotel lobby catch-ups, there's something even deeper happening. We're building community in the valleys. We're fighting burnout with love, and we're learning what it means to advocate fiercely while caring for ourselves just as fiercely. So pull up a chair, whether you're listening from a bustling clinic, a quiet office, your favorite recliner, a relaxing tub, or catching your breath in between meetings, this space is for you. Now let's talk about what it means to keep doing the work in this moment. Let's hold space for truth, for healing, and for forward motion. Now let's get into it with our first interview of the Biomedical Summit. All right. So can you tell us your name, where you live, your role, and how many summits you've been to?
Hi, my name is Freda Jones. I'm the co-founder of Lotus, and this is my first summit.
Awesome. So what are you most excited about the Biomedical Prevention Summit?
The most thing I'm excited about the Biomedical Prevention Conference is to learn more what affects Black women in HIV prevention.
So why is it important for us to have community voices at conferences, and what role do those voices play in the fight?
I think it's very important to have community because we are the ones that's on the ground doing the work. We are the ones that's going into the community and letting people know that HIV out here is still real, it's still affecting our community. So get more education around it.
Awesome. So we know that there's like a lot of legislation coming, a lot of funding cuts. What's the real world impact that you see on HIV prevention and treatment?
The real thing that I see now is how people saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to get my medication," or I heard that they're going to stop providing us with condoms. So that's where we have to let people know. I think we have to go back to the real prevention part is making sure people are compliant to their medication. Because if we get people to be more compliant to their medication and also to get tested and know if they have it or don't have it, we can reduce the number of people getting diagnosed with HIV.
Absolutely. So what message do you have for hope for advocates, allies, and accomplices?
The message that I have, let's see, for allies and accomplices, let's see, continue doing the work. continue doing the work. Don't give up, even though we don't see what we would want to see right now. But don't give up on the community because it's needed. So continue doing what you're doing. Continue being a person that's on the ground doing the work, and just open up your heart and your mind, and don't judge the people. Definitely don't judge the people, and allow and meet them where they are, and continue doing the work.
And tell me this, what gives you hope?
Oh, what gives me hope, knowing that the next person is either complying to their medication, getting tested, knowing their status, and also preventing and not afraid to tell someone, hey, have you been tested yet? Or hey, are you complying to your medication? So it gives me hope knowing that the next person is not getting a diagnosis of HIV.
Awesome. And now fill in the blank. The future of HIV is.
The future of HIV?
Yes.
Oh, the future of HIV is not existing. That's my hope for it, is to see that HIV is not stigmatized and not even existing anymore.
As we just heard, our community and frontline staff are more than numbers. They're stories, they're people. They are entire communities at risk. But even in that struggle, there's strategy, there's power. Our next guest talks about how they're innovating HIV prevention in a non traditional method and with an often overlooked audience. Let's jump into it. So, thank you for joining me on EAC Speaks. I would like for you to tell me your name, where you live, and if you've been to the summit before.
Hi, my name is Mystique Woods. My pronoun is Rose, and this is my first time at NMAC.
And my name is Dominica Eldridge. My pronouns are she and her. And this is also my first time here, and I'm from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, specifically Maryland.
Maryland.
And I'm from Philadelphia.
Well, welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you.
Summit. Can you tell us what you're looking forward to this year at the summit?
Yes, I am looking forward to our session on Black Women Prep 2, arts, advocacy, and HIV prevention efforts. I'm super excited to be here.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the campaign itself and make sure that our audience walk away with a couple of tips and tricks on how they can build their campaign in the future.
So tell us a little bit more about why these kind of campaigns are important, especially for Black women.
Because Black women are the future, and we deserve to be cared for, and HIV is prevalent to all of us, and it's about time that we step up and show who we are. Sometimes you got to pop out and show them.
Hey, Kendrick Lamar.
And on the artistic side, normally in HIV work, we rarely look at the artists in the world. We look at numbers. We look at that. Why should we start looking at creative ways to engage audience?
Well, I know for me, I'm a creative individual. So if you're going to lecture me to death, I'm not going to receive the information. But if I'm able to learn it in a more fun and exciting type of environment, then it sticks a lot more for me.
Yeah, and people have different ways of knowing, and so it's really important to indulge in the arts. Arts integration is my specialty, and so I really look forward to pushing individuals to think about how they're already expressing themselves, whether it's through their clothing and or through their poetry, creativity that they already have innately, to push it out for something as important as HIV.
Awesome. So for people listening who care about Black women and PrEP and the arts, what message do you have for them to push for change?
It's very simple. Lauryn Hill once said, it's funny how money can change the situation, and I would argue that sex can change the situation, but it's up to you to be empowered to speak to who you are as an individual, because Black women prep too.
Yes. Well put, period.
Just to be behind it. So tell us this, what message, or looking ahead, what gives you hope for the future in HIV prevention messaging for Black women?
Me. Honestly, people like me, I've met an amazing group of people that since I've been here, and I think it's really important to see individuals who may just be doing this in silo and coming into a space where there's so much community, to be able to find support and find individuals who also have the same ideas, and seeing how we can collaborate to push them out into the future.
And I love the fact that we're changing the narrative. I think that's really important. Even me being as a millennial, working with Mystique has helped broaden my perspective around HIV. So I know that by her hard work and me assisting her, we're able to make that change gradually. And create a new future.
Awesome. So, speaking of future, fill in the blank. The future of HIV prevention is.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Black girl magic.
Ooh, I would say community support,
Resilience.
resilience. I love that. Yeah.
So, what does it mean to innovate in a moment like this when the map is changing and the roads keep shifting? That's the question we're sitting with. And for some folks, the answer is you don't have to wait for permission. You build what's needed, you create your own table. Now, let's hear from someone doing exactly that at the intersections of HIV and cancer.
Hi, my name is John Fuller. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm currently a second year PhD student at Emory University. And fortunately enough, this is my first summit, and I'm very excited to be here.
Yes. What are you most excited about, John?
I am excited about just networking and building community. I think right now is definitely just a time where community is like all we have to rely on. And so being in community with people who are dedicated to ending the HIV and AIDS epidemic, it's just so critical. And so I'm really excited to just be around like-minded individuals.
Awesome. And can you talk to us a little bit about the intersection of the work that you do with HIV work?
Yes, absolutely. So I am looking at the intersection of cancer prevention and HIV prevention. And so my research is in two areas. One, I'm looking at how we can prevent cancer in people living with HIV, but I'm also interested in how we can understand the healthcare delivery experiences of people who are living with HIV, but also have cancer. We know that people living with HIV are more susceptible to HPV, which is a sexually transmitted infection. And HPV has been linked to several types of cancer, including anal cancer and cervical cancer, which disproportionately affect people living with HIV. And so it's really interesting to be here at a conference like this that's focusing on HIV prevention. But I want to be intentional about thinking about how we can use what we know about HIV prevention to also advance health disparities for people living with HIV in other areas such as cancer.
So, merging the worlds of cancer, of social determinants, they're not called social determinants of health anymore, are they? What?
Yeah, no, you're still
Okay,
you're correct.
good.
Yeah. SDOH, yeah.
Kind of cool. So, yes, tackling these issues where Black people have health disparities. Talk to me about the importance of looking at a bigger picture beyond our funding.
Oh, that is so critical. Well, I'm actually a current fellow with NASUM, and we attended a talk just yesterday, and we talked about the fact that we have gotten away as a Black community from grassroots funding, and we've gotten to a place where we relied on institutions such as the National Institutes of Health, which have historically underfunded and not funded our communities at all, right? Before 2016, funding from the NIH for LGBTQ people essentially did not exist. And there was also a time when they did not fund Black people. And so considering that my research is looking at the intersection of Black identity, gender, sexuality, I think, again, speaking of community, we have to get back to grassroots funding. We also have to get back to thinking about the way that we disseminate our knowledge too, right? And so we right now predominantly disseminate knowledge through peer-reviewed journals, but those are things that people in our communities do not necessarily have access to. And so right now, I think we're at a critical time in history where we can start to rely on our communities like we have done in the past, and be very intentional about making sure that we are not putting too much trust in institutions that were not built and created for us.
So, coming from an academic or research background, fill in the blanks. The future of HIV prevention is.
I think, honestly, the future of HIV prevention research is what it's always been, and that's community mobilization. It brings people together, but also it's through this radical act of coming together that we will end the HIV epidemic.
Yes, one thing John mentioned is crystal clear. This community is showing up for each other even when the system falls short. Our next guest reminds us that having faith based conversations are just as critical as any other biomedical breakthrough. I am here with one of the hosts of one of the events outside of the Biomedical Summit. Can you tell us who you are and what you're doing here today?
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Dr. Sandy Bailey Gwynn. I am the Executive Director and founder of Foundations for Living, and we are currently here at the Biomedical Summit presenting faith, what faith looks like when it comes to science, and collaborating faith with science, and what it looks like going towards the future when it comes to healing the people, healing the land, but making sure faith is a part of the healing process along with science.
And can you talk to us about the importance of having like a faith-based perspective, especially during trying times like losing federal funding and legislation coming down the line?
For the people who understand how important faith is, it's very important. For the people who understands life is just life and faith is not a part of your foundation, it's really, this question does not impact you. But for our brothers and sisters that grew up with grandmama taking them to church, grew up with hymns, grew up with a Sunday school and vacation Bible school, prayer is who we are as a Black race. Prayer is what we grew up on, whether it was now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep, or if it's blessed this food before we eat. Faith is the only thing for us that's going to get us through. That's our gateway to conversation, to commune with Christ. So the more of my faith life, the better I can navigate through these waters, through these times, through these storms. Because without faith, for me, I'm nothing. I have no meaning. I cannot move. I cannot breathe. I have no existence. So for faith, for the people that are working and wondering what's going to happen, go back to the old landmark, to the Christ where you first saw the light, because faith is really what's going to get us here and get us through.
Now that's a message for hope. Now, can you tell us what we're doing here tonight at Vision Cathedral?
So faith is a part of the disrupting stigma with disruptive faith. It's my second documentary. Vision has opened up their just beautiful sanctuary, this fellowship hall, so the community can come and see what God has gifted me through my hands. We are allowing the community to tell their own story of how faith looks to them, whether it's at a health spa for our transgender sisters, whether it's at a art gallery for our same gender loving people, LGBTQ, that express faith through art, whether it's at a HBCU where there's 50 Black women in a room and we're discussing how to reduce stigma and shame in their locations, or whether it's at an all-affirming church, disrupting the narrative of what's supposed to be the normalcy of what church looks like is no longer the same. Wherever you are, there is your faith. If you're in your bathroom, there is your faith. If you're in the kitchen cooking for your family, there is your faith. So today we are screening disrupting stigma with disruptive faith with the community here in Atlanta, because a lot of the actors that's in the documentary with lived experience will be here. And I'm excited that community that said, come on in. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yes, come on in. Now tell us where we can find the documentary and where we can find you.
Documentary can be found on YouTube, and I can be found in the state of Georgia, Northeast Georgia, which is called Homer, Georgia. You can also find me, of course, on Facebook, and I'm one of the coolest pastors. I still answer my phone, so you can give me a call, you can inbox me, and I am on Instagram for Sandy Bailey. But again, Reverend Dr. Sandy Bailey, YouTube, Foundations for Living, and just hit me up.
All right. Thank you again, Dr. Sandy Bailey.
You are welcome.
Now, we've talked innovation, research, strategy, faith, and survival. What about the next generation of leaders and advocates? Well, this next guest gets at the importance of youth and spreading awareness, not stigma. Tune in.
My name is Dominic White, and I work with Choice Health Network, where I'm the Outreach and Prevention Manager in Memphis.
Awesome. And how many summits have you attended?
This makes summit number 4.
All right. So what are some of the most exciting advancements in HIV prevention that you've seen this year?
This year, I would definitely say the biggest thing is people are excited for a longer acting injectable that's supposed to be coming out at the end of the year. Yeah. So there's a lot of buzz about that.
All right. And how does this year's conference differ from previous years in terms of attendees, the focus, and even urgency?
I think there is much more of an urgency right now with the current political climate. It is much more of we have to come together as a collective to end the HIV epidemic. So it is more of an urgency call to action in 2025.
Absolutely. So for people listening and watching who care about issues surrounding HIV, what can they do to help push for change?
I would say just understanding that we each have a responsibility to reduce stigma, because someone living with HIV or someone at risk of contracting HIV, it doesn't make the person good or bad. It's just the given situation. But these days we have really great ART, we have prevention options, but we just have to do our part to have those difficult, uncomfortable conversations to just keep at digging away at stigma.
Absolutely. So, if you could send one message to policymakers, to funders who control the budgets, what would it be?
Hmm, that's a hard one. More money, of course, but I would just say understanding that prevention efforts, whether it be U equals U or PrEP, we need more of that because that's how we destigmatize this entire realm is people understanding their options and understanding how HIV in 2025 or in general is passed along, not toilet seats. And there are still people who believe that. And so, just figuring out what we can do in regards to policy and advocacy work and funding work to sort of mitigate some of that.
Awesome. And then tell us what gives you hope for the future of HIV prevention and treatment despite these challenges?
Seeing so many young people who, I've been in this work for over a decade at this point, and I've been seeing people who are 18, 19, 20 at this summit. It just makes me so happy to see a younger generation taking an initiative to end the epidemic.
Yes. And lastly, fill in the blank. The future of HIV prevention is.
It takes a village.
All
Simple
right.
as that.
Ending the HIV epidemic, that's the heartbeat of this work. And yet, even through fatigue, through burnout, through uncertainty, people still have hope, still have a vision. We're still building. Our next guest gives us a look at what's possible when resilience meets radical care.
My name is Felicitas Bay Israel, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. So this is my first biomedical summit.
Awesome. And so, what are some of the most exciting things you've heard about the summit that you're looking forward to?
Oh wow, the new AI technology. I was just speaking with a colleague and talking about the anal douches and the vaginal rings. I'm excited to know more about that.
Awesome. And why is it important for us to have community voices at conferences?
Ooh.
And what do our voices play in shaping the conversation?
So let me expose a little bit about myself. I am a person living with the diagnosis of AIDS, and I'm passionate about just eradicating HIV. I know it won't go away, but just stopping the spread of HIV. I'm passionate about that.
So we're seeing life-changing shifts in funding for HIV prevention and treatment. What do you think will be the real-world impact on communities that need these services?
Well, I'm going to be optimistic. A source says that he will supply all our needs according to his riches and glory. Now, I ain't come here to preach. I'm just letting you know what it look like. I'm optimistic about it not being that way.
Hey, you about to make me shout.
Okay.
So for people who are listening who care about HIV, what can they do to help get involved with the changes?
Get knowledge about HIV. And I think the knowledge will help you understand, understand what a person with HIV is going through. And even if you're not affected by it, somebody that you may know may be affected by it. So get the knowledge, spread the knowledge, and just be a voice.
Yes. So what message do you have for advocates, our allies, and our accomplices?
Love. That's what we need to get through this.
Now fill in the blank. The future of HIV is.
Right, about the end. It's about the end. Yeah, cause we gonna get it together. We gonna fix ourselves.
Any last words?
I love y'all.
Wow. So that's a wrap. on this special episode from the 2025 Biomedical HIV Prevention Summit in Atlanta. If there's one thing I hope you take away from these conversations, it's this. We are not powerless. Yes, budgets are shrinking, teams are shrinking, programs are under pressure, and yes, many of us are tired. We're grieving. We're navigating burnout in systems that weren't built to hold us. But we're still here, still fighting, still imagining, still loving each other enough to not give up. The science keeps moving forward, but it's the people behind the work that carry it. The ones who speak truth in rooms that need to hear it. The ones who advocate boldly while caring deeply. The ones who show up, not just in conference halls, but in community, in clinics, in classrooms, in art halls, and on the front lines. So whether you're a researcher, an advocate, a peer educator, an artist, or someone living at the intersections of this work, thank you. Thank you for showing up and for staying in it, for choosing connection over competition, for taking care of others, and most importantly, for taking care of yourself. Remember that we're not just surviving this moment, we're reshaping it. Until next time, stay rooted, stay ready, and stay in community.
The EAC Speaks podcast is partially supported by the Arkansas Department of Health through a grant funded in part by the CDC. All discussion is solely the responsibility of each participant and doesn't necessarily represent the official views of Engaging Arkansas Communities, the Arkansas Department of Health, CDC, or the U.S. government.